want to talk about Alec Baldwin.
There we go. Let's do it. Kapow.
Yes. So
we love subtle transitions.
I mean, look, we're talking about trials. We're talking about Rittenhouse. We're talking about, there's a bunch of trials, actually. The Ahmaud Arbery case is going on. Mm-hmm. We have more information on the Alec Baldwin case. A Rust crew member, this is the movie, Rust is the name of the film, where Alec Baldwin shot and killed that woman. He is suing Alec Baldwin and the set armorer for severe emotional distress over shooting. The Independent is reporting, fatal scene did not require Baldwin to pull trigger, lawsuit claims. It's a claim of a lawsuit if somebody's trying to make money. So I don't know that it's true. A lot of people are saying, why would an electrician have, key details in that regard? The Independent reports, a Rust crew member who held the dying Helena Hutchins in his arms has sued Alec Baldwin, armorer Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, and assistant director Dave Halls for severe emotional distress over the shooting. Head electrician Sergei Svetnoy alleges in the lawsuit that the scene in which Miss Hutchins was killed did not call for Mr. Baldwin to fire the weapon, which he had been told was cold. Mr. Baldwin is sued in both his capacity as an actor and a producer of the Western movie, which has been shut down as investigations into the death continues. Mr. Svetnoy claims in the court papers that the bullet that killed Mrs. Hutchins also struck director Joel Souza, almost hit him as well, according to TMZ. He states that he is suing Mr. Baldwin because the star owed a duty to the plaintiff and other crew members and actors on the Rust set to handle the Colt revolver provided to him by defendant Halls with reasonable care and diligence for the safety of the Rust cast and crew. They're going to say, quote, this duty called for defendant Baldwin to double check the Colt revolver with Halls upon being handled to ensure it did not contain live ammunition, court papers state. The lawsuit also claims the fatal scene did not require Baldwin to pull the gun's trigger, with the script instructing him to draw the weapon and point it in the general direction of the camera. But, quote, the scene did not call for the defendant Baldwin to shoot the Colt revolver. My understanding is that the Colt revolver, especially a piece from this era, would be single action, not double action. Someone commented on this yesterday, which means, and I have a single action. You have to actually pull the hammer back before it can be fired. The question then emerges. If we're assuming this lawsuit is correct, this election is, the electrician's claims as a witness and someone involved in the crew is right, maybe he's disgruntled. Maybe he was a disgruntled crew member. Maybe he's lying. I don't know. The first question we have to ask is, why did Alec Baldwin pull the hammer back on the gun, point it at an individual? Why weren't there safety protocols in place? Why did he pull the trigger? I think, as I stated yesterday, we didn't do a full segment on this, which is why I wanted to, this story came out 4 hours ago, and I thought it was important to bring up. We've been giving him the benefit of the doubt the whole time for no reason. I'm not saying I know what happened. I'm saying the media has protected Alec Baldwin and framed this whole story so that from the get-go we assumed it was an accident. They first said it was a blank. They said it was a misfire, which is the wrong terminology. They said shrapnel hit the producer, the cinematographer, killing her. We know all of that's not true now. And this is witness testimony. Granted, this guy's suing, but it's still someone who was on the crew who's making a statement and saying this is what happened and what was supposed to happen. In which case, the facts we have to start, Alec Baldwin drew a gun, pulled the hammer back, pointed it at the cinematographer, at the camera with the cinematographer standing there, fired the gun with a live bullet in it. In order to assume that was an accident, we'd have to make a ton of assumptions.
He was mad. He had motive. Sounds like it, right?
So
no.
Those are also more assumptions. However, in the absence of evidence, the solution that makes the least amount of assumptions tends to be the correct one. Not that we know definitively, not that we can say for sure, but I'm just pointing out it is logically absurd to begin the story as if we believe it was a mistake.
Well, what's very clear is that Alec Baldwin has a very skilled team of PR people that has been rolling this out bit by bit, manipulating the narrative, seeding things in our mind, much the way a interrogator will get you to say yes and lead you places, plant things out there. Very concerted effort, which, even if it were an accident, they would do the same thing, right? If it was
brilliant.
The total accident, he would definitely hire a crisis management team. They would definitely be doing everything that they're doing. But to the way that things are coming out bit by bit by bit now, and when you really put it like that, he pulls back to action, points it at the guy, shoots.
Why? So here.
And doesn't he have a history of like going off on people back?
Yeah,
to
they
the
were
and all
afraid.
that stuff?
And attacking. Remember, he just attacked a guy in New York over a parking space.
The armor, I think she was claiming that she was afraid that people were afraid of Alec on set. Basically, like if they were like, "Hey, it's too dangerous. You can't do that." That Alec would flip his lid and fire the person on the spot.
Didn't he leave some nasty voicemail for his own daughter or something,
Yeah.
calling her the worst names in the world and being an absolute just monster?
He's trash, dude. Do you remember? Did you see the
He
video
is
of
trash,
him and his
which
wife?
kills me 'cause
They got out of
he's
the
so
car.
good.
They were getting chased by like paparazzi. They got out of the car to talk to him. It was like last week. There's video of it, and he's like, "She was my friend." And then he realized, like, I didn't say it with enough emotion. I got to repeat myself. She was my friend. Like, he's such an actor. Like,
Yeah, most actors go crazy.
We got this from USA Today. Alec Baldwin sues man who accused actor of punching him over a parking spot in New York. He sues the guy.
So everyone thought that Tim was crazy when Tim came up with this idea that it's possible this wasn't an accident, right?
But it's not even me coming up with an idea. It's me saying, why are you making assumptions that this was an accident?
I know. We all know that Alec Baldwin is a huge jerk, and he always has been. So there's no reason to assume that this was an accident. There's no reason to assume that there's no possible way there was
What
no
grace
motive.
has he built up? What benefit of the doubt has he built up? He is the equivalent of the N-word guy at the gas station at this point.
Dude, from the beginning, everyone was like, we have to be nice to Alec Baldwin. This must be very hard for him. I was like, do you think for one single second that if this were to happen to someone, for example, like James Woods, that he would be compassionate and graceful? He would be on Twitter before the body was cold complaining about gun laws. He would be talking about this.
He went trick-or-treating afterwards and was taking selfies
poor
and photos of dressed up as in a costume.
I pulled up the video of the parking lot incident, and it shows Alec, he like shoves the guy in the shoulder. So he says it disproves the claim that, he punched him. This is going back to 2018. I think it's still an important point to make that Alec Baldwin is a hothead.
Yes.
Like Ian was pointing out, people were scared of him on the set.
Right.
People had complained about what was going on. And I think we could even ignore all of that and just take some basic facts. A woman died. How did she die? She was shot. We're gonna walk backwards. She was shot.
Yep.
How did she get shot? An individual fired a gun at her.
Yep.
The individual was armed with what I believe was a single action revolver, likely .45 caliber because it's a Western. He pointed the gun at her, pulled the hammer back, pulled the trigger. Okay, why did he do it? Well, according to one witness, the scene did not call for him to actually pull the hammer back and pull the trigger, but he did anyway.
Yeah.
So then why would he have pulled the trigger? Well, then we start getting into the crew disputes, the hot-headedness of the character. I don't understand why it's logical in any capacity to say he accidentally pulled a live firearm with a bullet, pulled the hammer back and shot a woman and be like, but let's figure out how we can justify it as an accident. No, you made a good point about crisis management. This dude's very wealthy. Very likely his PR firm immediately, as soon as it happened, started saying, we need stories saying this. They probably seeded false information. It was a misfire, it was a blank. Why? Right. To create the narrative of an accident first. And we walked into that. The first thing we said was it was an accident. Then we learned there was a live bullet in it. We said, wow, how did that happen? That's a crazy accident. That's crazy. And then I stopped and thought to myself, so I have to assume a woman, an armorer who's trained with firearms, accidentally loaded a live round, gave it to an assistant director who didn't check it, but claimed it was cold, gave it to Alec Baldwin, who wasn't supposed to pull the trigger, who then pulls the trigger, and all of that is true for me to continue the accident narrative.
Okay. I don't like Alec Baldwin, even though he's just a tremendous actor, which just bothers me. Him and Glenn Ross is like one of the most powerful scenes in film. Oh man,
it's a good movie.
So good. But the alternative, and I'm just playing devil's advocate, all you a-holes out there that are going to say that I'm Alec Baldwin.
They love you in the comment section, by the way.
No, they hate me in the comment section. And there's bots in there running on me. Quit reading the comments.
I love the comment section. I love you guys. You guys are incredible.
The alternative is what? That
Alec Baldwin.
He came up with a way to murder this woman.
No. That's too many assumptions. It's simple. Hot-headed Alec Baldwin shot a woman. That's it.
So I think someone put the bullet in the gun, sabotage the set. It's just an assumption, but it's like, if I have to make one, it's going to be that one.
They've made that accusation.
And I don't have to make one.
Crew members have argued it was intentional sabotage on Alec Baldwin's part. However, if I'm going to make the least amount of assumptions, it's Alec Baldwin shot and killed a woman.
Well, for sure, that's truth. That's not even an assumption.
Right. That's a fact.
Alec
we're talking
Baldwin
about
pulled
motive.
back the hammer, pointed the gun, and pulled the trigger.
Motive
at a woman.
is this is a guy who's known to be a hothead, who screamed at his own daughter, who shoved a guy over a parking space. I'm not trying to argue that he's a rage-filled monster, but that he has a temper. So if we're going to look at how this woman died, do I assume the armorer who's trained in firearms accidentally loaded a live bullet, then gave it to a second person who claimed to have checked it but didn't, who gave it to Alec Baldwin, who is trained for decades with firearms, who didn't check it? Or do I say there was a producer dispute with the crew over the conditions on the set, and then the guy who's running one of the producers shoots a woman? Mm-hmm. Why would we? So
there's a lot of things that are very difficult to believe in each of these scenarios. They're all incredible. Like, wow. How are any of
They're
these
doing
possible?
live target practice on the set. They're probably getting hammered the night before, coming in all wasted.
The
Girl doesn't even know what she's doing,
angle.
the armor.
But why would you assume that?
She said she's 24. She was like, I'm
So
not
what?
comfortable in this job. I'm doing two jobs. She was doing two jobs at once on the set. But it's
think-
like you can't say it to Alec because he'll fire you on the spot.
I think it's crazy to assume that the one person who was not treating the gun properly was the one person whose job it is to treat the gun properly. You know what I mean?
Right.
The armorer is the expert on set. Why would I assume she made the mistake and resulted in a person dying instead of Alec Baldwin, who pulled the trigger?
They all made a
So
mistake.
you think that she handed over a gun that had a blank in it, and Alec Baldwin inserted a live round in between receiving the handgun and discharging it?
If we're going to start with all of the facts laid in front of us, it is, in my opinion, slightly more probable that Alec Baldwin loaded the gun and shot.
Than some begruntled crew member that walked off.
So the crew member,
Is there a chain of possession?
the armorer, Hannah Gutierrez.
Do they have to sign for it and stuff?
I don't know.
Yeah, I wonder.
Imagine, right?
So I'm not saying it's likely. I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying, why would I assume the armorer made a mistake, the assistant director failed to check it, and then Alec Baldwin, for no reason, pulled the trigger at a woman?
And then add to it, very clearly, a skilled PR team is seeding stories, manipulating the media, getting.
We don't
out
know
there.
that for sure. That's a big assumption. I think it's likely and fair to say. My point is, I don't know.
Tim's so objective; it's annoying sometimes.
I don't know what happened. I'm just saying that looking at it like a mathematical equation, you have this massive tree of like an algorithm, like a flow chart of all of the things that had to happen for this insane accident to occur. And then over here you have angry crew, Alec Baldwin hothead, shot a woman. Like, it's 3 steps.
Yeah.
It's a guy said, I'm angry with the crew, and then shot a woman, versus accident, sabotage, conspiracy, angry crew. And I just...
Right. And we're
Maybe-
falling into the trap of trying to apply rational thinking to irrational people doing irrational things.
And hot-headed people who have a
Yeah.
temper, who act out sometimes. Now, we still don't know. I think we have to wait until the police investigation comes out, if they're going to even investigate it properly, if a lot of the investigation wasn't compromised by a lot of his money.
The DA said that they know who put the bullet in the gun.
Oh, wow.
So maybe, look,
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm just saying, I feel like a crisis management team likely was involved in seeding stories that were clearly false to create the accident narrative first and then prejudice individuals who read on. But now you have a guy who is in a sworn statement, a deposition lawsuit, in his deposition in a lawsuit, saying the scene did not call for him to fire the gun.
That's big.
That is big.
That's huge. As soon as I saw that, I was like, this changes a lot.
And there's a little bit of motive,
Yeah.
right? There was disputes. There was kind of contested and such.
People were quitting. They were walking off set.
Yeah.
So imagine you've got hothead Alec Baldwin trying to run a movie where he's a hothead. People, like, Ian mentioned, people were scared they would get fired. Hannah Gutierrez, I guess, had said that. Is that what you were saying?
That's what I interpolated from the article I was reading.
But remember, we were talking about this before the show. It is known in the actor community that even a blank can kill somebody. What's
that
that?
was the cat.
Oh, it was the
There's
cat?
a cat.
Focus?
What the
I was
heck?
trying to get
Fuck.
in here.
Yeah, I guess
maybe.
so. He made it up the stairs.
Don't let him in. Don't let him in.
Don't let him in.
No,
Yeah,
it's-
if it was me and Tim,
my
I would've let
nose
him
is
in.
always itching when I'm in here.
Yeah.
It's known in the actor community, and Alec was an actor then. A young actor put a blank to his head and killed himself by accident, thinking it was a blank and that it wasn't going to kill him. So it's known in Hollywood that blanks can be lethal.
That's John Eric Hexum.
Hexum. And again, Alec Baldwin has decades of action movie
Right.
experience.
Right.
There was already a witness who testified that they worked with Alec Baldwin, and he knows not only standard gun protocol safety, but on-set gun safety. And he violated. So Alec Baldwin, for this accident to have occurred, slipped his mind standard gun safety, slipped his mind standard protocol, pulled the trigger on a gun that in a scene that didn't call for it, was handed a gun by a guy who claimed to have checked it but didn't, by a woman who accidentally put a live bullet in it and didn't check. That's insane to assume.
They
all
were
of those things are
apparently
true.
doing live target practice
Right.
on downtime on set, and then they're like, no, people are denying that they were doing it at all, but they're like, dude, there's live ammo all over the set. They were going out and shooting at cans between takes.
Yeesh.
I don't know. We'll see. I have a feeling nothing bad's going to happen to.
I wonder if
All
he
up
did
the
he
chain.
say anything
The shooter's got to get
beforehand?
charged. The production team has got to get charged. The
Look.
armor and the assistant director all need to be charged in this.
I was reading legal analysis over basic questions, and it seems like, based on the facts we have that have been released, whatever the claims are, involuntary manslaughter is set. The fact that it is standard safety protocol not to point a weapon at someone and pull the trigger, the fact that he didn't check when he had the opportunity to do so, means someone died at his hand. It was an accident, but he's responsible. Involuntary manslaughter. Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to watch live, you can check out this channel Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Now, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and if you want more unfiltered and uncensored content with all of these guests, go to timcast.com and become a member. All of these guests you know and love in exclusive segments on our website where we are unrestricted in what we talk about, so you'll definitely not want to miss it. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you all next time.